Okay, taking a look at a Walmart Lego display. I purchased this from an individual on Facebook Marketplace. They originally listed it at $120, and I kind of was watching it in my saved items on my Facebook account, and I watched it drop all the way down to $75. And I asked, hey, would you take $60 cash today? And they took it. So I thought I would give you guys a close look at what a Lego display is like and how to change the batteries if you need to. So on this one, you turn this, it spins the helicopter props. I don't know if you can see that very well right now, but I'll give you a better look at it in a second. And then some blue lights flash, and then a white light illuminates the entire thing. And then the knob flashes so that it catches the attention of a shopper at Walmart. And they turn the knob to see what happens, and then they see that the blue lights flash and the helicopter props spin. They keep flashing until you stop spinning it, and then it completes the cycle and illuminates the whole thing. Let me move it so I can give you a better look at it. Alright, so you can see that this has got like a plexiglass shield around it. It's a pretty thin shield. It's got a lot of give to it. I don't think that it would be very durable. It would not take an impact very well. So, but they made these things to be destroyed. They were not intended to be kept after they were used for advertising purposes. I did not know that until after I purchased it. You can see here that there is a caution. So it says, property of the Lego Group. Note, when instructed to remove and replace this model box, do not remove from the premises. Discard, ensuring batteries are removed and model box is promptly destroyed. So they didn't intend for anybody to keep these. I don't know what Walmart this came from, or who ended up pulling it from the store shelf. Perhaps it was a Lego salesman that brings these boxes and they kept it, gave it to somebody. Or I have seen some videos on YouTube where people dumpster dive at stores and find these displays and then sell them. Obviously you can see that Lego intended for it to be destroyed after it was used as a display. This is the back. Nothing really exciting going on back here. There is an on-off switch. And to prevent the batteries from dying, I plan to flip that switch when I know that I'm not going to be having people in my shop. If I'm having friends or family over, we're hanging out playing cards, whatever, I plan to flip that on and let it do its thing. But while it's sitting and it's just myself enjoying this room, I just leave the power off so that it doesn't drain the battery. Show you the other side here. Nothing really to see on this side. Now, when I purchased this, it did not have powered batteries in it. The batteries were spent and exhausted, and I tried to figure out how to get in this thing to change the batteries. I went about it the hardest way that you can possibly think to go about it. Originally I thought, okay, so there's some black screws here, and they go all the way around the base, and I thought, well, maybe that's how you're supposed to get into it. This is the underside of it, and I didn't really see any screws here to back out and remove the base to try and change the batteries. It does say that you can change the batteries, and they are D-cell alkaline batteries, so I knew that it was possible to change the batteries. I was just having a hard time figuring out how to do that. So I started by removing all of these black screws, tried to remove it, but this knob does not pull out, and I would not be able to lift all of this plastic off. Apparently the plastic was set in place, and then this knob was fixed into its mechanism, and this does not remove now. After failing to be able to pull this plastic shroud off of the base, I thought, well, maybe I need to come in it from the above. So there's these little screws here, And I pulled all those off, pulled the lid off, and tried to gain access to a battery compartment within it. Was not able to access the batteries from within. And then I went on YouTube and started looking around, and I could not find anything that said how to change the batteries on this. So I put it all back together. I put all my screws back in, and then I came to the bottom down here. I started looking this over a little more. And then it occurred to me that these are rivets, and these 4 black nubs, they're not rivets. So I thought, well, maybe it's some kind of tension pin, which is correct. There's a little pin here that you pull out. I just used these little clippers here to kind of get underneath the edge and pull it out. How these pins work: this pin slides up in there, and when this pin pushes in, it keeps this kind of like floured and spread out, and prevents this pin from pulling through, holding it in place. When you pull this part out, it allows this end here to close up and then pull out the hole there. And then you can, there we go, pull this down, and this is the innards in here. Boy, there are 16. So there are 4, 4, 4, and 4 D batteries. So I mean, I basically spent, let's see here, it's like $15 for a pack of 8, and I needed 2 packs. So I mean, I practically had half of what I bought the thing for just in batteries to power it on. I was lucky that none of the batteries had corroded yet. I did a little looking into these Lego sets that are displayed in here, and it looks as though they were released in January of 2017. So this is potentially 3 years old in 2020, maybe 3.5 years old. So I replaced all the batteries, and this is everything in here. It looks as though that's the mechanism that activates the lights. When the sensor passes, when this little weight passes over the sensor, then it tells it to fire up and start going. So that's the inside of this. You need to change the batteries. These little covers here pull off. Toss your D batteries in, and the cover slides on. Hopefully these last a fair amount of time when I don't keep it powered on. But then you take and press each one of these pins back in place. And then to keep it in place, you press that pin in, and that locks it in place. So this is a close look at this label here. I can see here that the date on this one is 2016. It's kind of neat. Alright, I'm going to open the top up and show you what it looks like inside the display. Alright, so they're really simple, almost like a wood screw, but very small. And that's the screw that you need to remove to take this lid off. There are 8 screws, and they're little, so careful not to drop them. Alright, and then you just lift the lid off. Careful not to bind the wiring. Alright, and this is the inside of the display. As you turn the knob, it spins the rotors, and there is a metal shaft going all the way through down to that mechanism. Now, none of these pieces, like if I said, okay, I'd like to use this piece in my Lego set, everything is fixed together. None of this would be able to be disassembled and used with Legos. These are actual Lego pieces. This is probably one of the sets. But they use a process to fix everything together. Now, if they do it like they do in the Lego parks, where the Lego masters are sitting in their office, you can watch them build creations, they don't use super glue. And the reason that they don't use super glue, it was explained to me by one of the master builders, was super glue is expensive and messy. And one of the things that they use is a chemical called MEK. And MEK will actually fuse the plastic together. I have used it in the wood shop that I work at, and we would use it to clean like the spray gun and the paint gun that we would use to apply the finish to the cabinets. So I mean, it really makes a very good bond. I think you would practically destroy any of these pieces trying to pull the pieces off of the set. If you buy this, you might be able to pull it out of the display and play with some of it, but you would not. It would basically be like an action figure and a car. It wouldn't be something that you could take it apart and use those pieces with your other Legos. This is all permanently put together. Now, let me get off of the tripod here and kind of take it inside the display. So you can see that the helicopter is held up by this metal bracket. You can see that the little shaft that goes up into the helicopter connects to the helicopter blades. You can see that there are some metal plates holding what would have been Lego hinges on the side of the trailer, and that prevents it from getting bumped and knocked around and those walls folding down. They really want everything to display nice while it's in the display. So they have the identification of what Lego sets are being displayed. And then it shows you generally all the pieces that come with the set. Okay, well, let me get this put back together and put it back where I am going to display it. Alright, so this is where I'm going to display it. Now, you can see it's kind of like cycling through a few things here. If you leave it set, I don't know if there's like a timed mechanism where it eventually will start flashing the lights, it'll turn the light on, it'll blink the knob. So, in the instructions on the back, it says that the fresh batteries should allow it to be cycled 30,000 times. So the cycle would be, it would go through its blue flashes, then illuminate the whole thing, and shut off. So supposedly it will do that about 30,000 times. I'm guessing that as it cycles through its own thing and it randomly flashes and illuminates and then blinks the knob to get the attention of the potential customer. I'm guessing it's probably going to last maybe 3 to 6 months, depending on how many times a kid comes up to it and spins that and starts it up again. But like I said, I intend to flip the switch when I don't expect to have company over If I'm going to have my nieces and nephews or my buddies over for poker night, I'll probably turn it on for fun. But when I'm just setting it in my shop and it's just me and my kids enjoying it, probably just going to flip the switch and conserve battery life, because the D cells are kind of pricey and it takes 16 of them. So I'm not looking to chew through those super frequently. Now, I felt pretty excited to have found a Lego City Police display. There's lots of them out there that I would not have been excited about. I would not have been excited about the Neo Knights, Nixel Knights. I don't even know how to say it. I didn't. That's kind of before my time of collecting, and way after my time of playing. And my kids didn't really get into that. There's some Star Wars stuff that I might have liked, but I would say probably at least half of the Star Wars stuff probably wouldn't have been something that I would have been excited to display. I tell you what would have been at the absolute tippy top of my list if they would have had something available, would have been some kind of like pirate ship display. That would have been pretty awesome. But for what I have seen available on Facebook Marketplace and on YouTube videos, this one was a pretty nice find for my taste and a spot in my collection. Alright, well, thanks for checking out my videos.